The movie starts with Charlie, the cute girl, talking to her mom on the phone. Her mom asks her, "How's the renovation going on the house you inherited from your grandmother?" Charlie tells her, "Well, I'm working on it." And she remembers that she had a date with a guy today. Her mom says, "So what? Are you getting married now and giving us a little baby so I can be a grandma?" Charlie tells her, "Mom, don't get ahead of yourself." A little later, Charlie hears a sound. So she opens the door, but doesn't find anything. She stays up watching a movie on TV and hears the sound of a little kid again. So she goes out again and finds the sound coming from a phone near the pool of her house. At that moment, someone sneaks up behind her and covers her mouth. After that, we see Charlie working at the home helpline. A girl calls crying, so Charlie tells her, "Calm down. Everything's going to be okay. Let's talk. What's your name?" She says, "My name is Lily." Charlie asks her, "So what's bothering you, Lily?" She says, "Josh dragged me into doing something shameful, and now I took a pregnancy test, and I'm worried about the result because my mom will literally kill me if I'm pregnant." Charlie tells her, "Breathe slowly. I'm here to help you," and asks her, "Where's your mom?" She says, "She went out with her friends," and then asks Charlie, "Did something happen to you that made you want to work helping people?" Charlie drifts off a little and says, "No, it's not like that at all. You're the one who called, so I'm the one asking questions, not you." A little later, the pregnancy test result comes out, and it's positive, so Lily breaks down and doesn't know what to do. She tells Charlie, "My mom has sleeping pills. Should I take them and get rid of it before she comes back?" Charlie tells her, "No, don't. You might hurt yourself." At that moment, Lily's mom arrives, so Lily has to hang up the call. Charlie's mom calls her right away and asks how work is going and how her day has been. "How far did you get with the house renovation?" Charlie tells her, "I'm fine, from cooking to watering the garden. But as for the house renovation, I don't think I'll be staying here much longer. I might move to another place." Her mom asks, "And what about helping people?" Charlie replies, "Not everyone really wants help. Some call just to mess around or just to talk. But sometimes I feel like I'm making a difference and really helping them." Then her mom asks, "You watched the news like we agreed, right?" Charlie says, "No, I just saw some of it. But the voice of the guy the police arrested isn't the same as the voice of the man who attacked me that day. I'll never forget the words he whispered in my ear before he did what he did." Her mom tells her, "Everything will fade with time, sweetheart. Just don't think about it too much." Then she asks, "How much time do you have left?" And Charlie gets up and says, "I'm in my 9th month." And that's how we find out that Charlie is pregnant because of what happened. Charlie hangs up with her mom and goes out to water the garden, cook in the kitchen, and fold some clothes. Until another person calls her. She talks to them, comforts them, and then Charlie goes to do some pregnancy exercises for the baby's health. Another woman calls and says, "I'm celebrating." So Charlie asks, "What's the occasion?" The woman replies, "I finally got divorced after 8 years of marriage." Charlie tells her, "I'm sorry that happened to you." But the woman says, "No. Don't be sorry. It's the best thing that's happened to me in a while." Charlie hangs up and goes into the bathroom while finishing up another call. She then heads to the kitchen to prepare some food, but suddenly she feels like the masked man is stalking her again, so she hangs up. Charlie goes to her laptop and starts browsing the news about the masked man. She finds an article about a famous story saying he attacks women and makes them pregnant. She plays a recording of the accused man saying, "I didn't do that. I have nothing to do with that story." And Charlie realizes that his voice is definitely not the same as the voice of the masked man who attacked her. Charlie hears a sound coming from the storage room, so she goes to check it out. She sees a hand trying to open the door and gets startled, but then realizes it was just the broom. It was all in her head. She calls her mom and tells her, "I see him in everything, everywhere. Right now, I feel like he's standing behind me. And a few days ago, I almost hit a man by the pool, forgetting he comes here every Tuesday." Her mom tells her, "You need to tell yourself that none of this is real so you can get through this and be okay." Charlie says, "What really bothers me is the feeling that I could have done more. I could have stopped him, and then there wouldn't have been more sacrifices." Her mom tells her, "You did everything that kept you alive, and that alone is brave." Charlie, sadly, says, "I wish he'd show up for real, just so I'd know I'm not crazy." Then she goes into the kitchen to drink some apple juice, then heads to her car, but she doesn't drive it because she sees the masked man sitting with her, and that makes her extremely anxious. After a while, someone knocks at the door. She opens it and finds a package. Inside are baby items, like a baby monitor and a crying baby toy that goes off when pressed. She picks it up and accidentally drops the scissors under the bed. Then a guy calls her and asks, "What are you wearing while you're at home?" She replies, "How do you know I'm at home?" He says, "I mean like those people who take video calls at home wearing a nice suit on top, but just shorts underneath." The call starts going in a weird direction and has nothing to do with needing help, so Charlie gets grossed out and hangs up on him. At night, she goes down to lock the door and make sure the house is secure. The door knocks again, and when she opens it, she finds an envelope on the doorstep. Before she can open it, someone calls her. A girl says, "I'm not a journalist, but I do a podcast and I'd like your comment on what happened to you." Charlie hangs up on her and opens the podcast the girl mentioned. Later that night, another girl calls Charlie and says, "I see my ex every day at college, and it makes me really upset, especially since everyone loves him. I don't know what to do. So I thought I'd talk to you for a bit." Charlie told her, "I'm like a bartender. You can tell her everything and feel safe knowing she won't tell anyone or even bring it up again." Charlie hangs up the call and starts tidying up around the house while playing the podcast, listening as the girl says that everyone who went through this heard the sound of a crying baby. It was the bait the masked man used to trap them. Charlie goes outside to throw out the trash, unaware that someone is watching her. She keeps listening to the podcast and learns that sometimes the masked man sends gifts to the mothers of his children. Charlie is shocked, especially since she's received 2 gifts from unknown people. She opens the envelope and finds a music CD, and when she plays it, it turns out to be a lullaby. Then Charlie hears a baby crying, so she grabs a metal rod and goes to check, but finds no one, though the sound keeps going. She immediately calls her mom and asks, "Can you hear that baby crying?" Her mom says, "Yeah, but that could just be a cat. Go online and search for a cat sound that resembles a baby's cry." Charlie looks it up and finds that her mom was right. She hangs up, still scared and not convinced that the sound was from a cat and not a real baby. She goes into the kitchen to drink some grape juice when the same guy who harassed her calls again. Charlie tells him, "What you're doing is a violation of the service, sir." He apologizes and says, "I'm sorry, I'm just lonely, and I really love hearing your voice." Then he asks her, "Do you always like drinking apple juice like that?" Charlie responds, "How do you even know I'm drinking anything? You must have heard me. And how do you know it's apple juice? What if it's coffee?" He says, "Coffee? At night? Besides, that specific apple juice isn't really good for your condition right now." Charlie then hears a baby crying on his end and gets scared, hanging up on him immediately. She contacts the internal employee service at the Helpline company and asks, "Can I find out the name of someone who's been calling me a lot?" The employee service tells her that calls are made through a bot, but the caller can choose a specific name to make the call under. She asked her, "Why are you asking? Did he threaten you or something?" Charlie replied, "No," but the call completely veers away from the point of getting help. The service rep said, "He's harassing you verbally?" Unfortunately, even the police don't really bother punishing people who do that. Charlie thanked her and ended the call. Then Lily calls Charlie and tells her that she didn't harm herself and that she's going to take another test. And if it confirms she's pregnant, she'll try to talk to someone, but she's not going to end her life. Charlie hears a noise outside and feels nervous. And at the same time, she's not fully focused on Lily. So Lily says, "Are you with me or are you distracted? I feel like you're not really here. Did what I said bother you?" Charlie replies, "No, it's something personal, and I'm actually happy you called me." Lily then says, "Maybe you could try talking to me?" Charlie tells her, "Someone assaulted me, and he said if I got pregnant, he'd come back after 9 months and take his child. But if I didn't get pregnant or something happened to the baby, he'd come finish me off. Honestly, I've done everything I can to get through this, but I don't know how. Every time I hear a baby cry, my heart nearly stops from the shock." Lily says, "In that case, it might be really hard on you when the baby's born." Charlie tells her, "The media and the police say they've caught the attacker, but I'm sure he's still out there, especially since the voice of the guy they arrested isn't the same as his. What do I do if he comes after me again? Who's going to help me now? I don't even know his identity or his face. Usually people know who their attacker is. I'm just so curious to know who's behind the mask he wore. But would I even be ready if he came after me again?" At that moment, Lily's mom comes in. So Lily has to hang up. But before she does, she asks Charlie, "Will you be available tomorrow?" Charlie tells her, "Yeah, my shift starts at 7 a.m. Charlie, exhausted, falls asleep at her desk, but she wakes up startled because she hears the sound of a baby crying. She grabs a gun from under the desk and goes to unlock the door so she can go outside. She shouts, "If you're a man, show yourself. I've been waiting for you for a long time." She goes back into the kitchen and places the gun on the counter. But when she bends down under the counter and comes back up, she finds the gun has disappeared. She panics and starts searching for it. At that moment, the baby music CD starts playing. Charlie rushes over and stops the music, and just then, the apartment door slams shut. She hurries to check the security system, but when she returns to her laptop, she finds that the internet cable has been cut. On top of that, the masked man has written her a document filled entirely with the words, "I'm sorry, worry, Charlie. She heads to the toilet, opens the tank lid, and pulls out a hidden gun, saying, "You didn't find this one, huh?" She grabs the gun and says to the masked man, "I won't let this go until I get my revenge on you." She heads to the baby's room, and just then, the masked man speaks to her through the baby monitor. He says, "What are you wearing right now? I thought you'd recognize my voice like you said you would." Charlie replies, "Where are you?" He tells her, "That transmitter has a 300-meter range, so I'm not far. Maybe I'm right outside your door. What are you gonna do now? Try to run?" Charlie does try to escape, but he's already waiting in her car, so she runs back inside. She tries to lock the door using the security system, but he tells her, "No use. I changed the password." Charlie, trying to stay calm, says, "What do you want from me?" He says, "All I want is to witness the baby's birth, to see him, and then I'll leave." Charlie walks away and heads to the backyard. She was just about to escape when he appears in front of her, so she runs back again. The masked man speaks to her over the monitor and says, "Don't try to run. I'm watching you. I see everything. The front door, the back, the living room, your kitchen, your bathroom. I see it all. So don't try anything, or I'll come take the baby out by force." Charlie manages to slip away and was about to jump over the wall and escape, but then she remembers what she told Lily, that sometimes she wishes she could see him again just to know she's not crazy. So Charlie turns back and re-enters the house, but she starts feeling labor pains. The masked man says over the monitor, "So, is the baby coming now? And you were gonna run? Why'd you come back?" Charlie said to him, "So you're watching me? Fine. Why don't you come face me like a man?" But he kept provoking her. So she said, "No, I don't have the patience to wait for you." And she threw the walkie-talkie away, then went to the kitchen and drank some apple juice. The labor pains started getting stronger. She saw the masked man watching her from the front door and through the windows. So she closed all the curtains and turned off the lights. The masked man entered and started searching for her. He noticed the trail of amniotic fluid on the floor and the sonogram pictures of the baby. He heard the sound of a baby crying and followed it, only to find Charlie had turned on the crying baby toy. She told him, "No baby comes out that fast." She pulled the trigger of her gun, but it didn't fire. The masked man said, "You really thought I wouldn't get to that gun too?" He hit Charlie, and she collapsed. She tried to reach for the scissors under the bed, but passed out before she could grab them. When she woke up, she was tied to a chair, and the masked man told her, "Don't bother struggling. You need to relax. I hope the baby is okay, because if not, I'll end you." He tried to get close to her, but when she resisted, he hit her again and left the room. Charlie used the chance to grab the CD, broke it, and used a sharp piece to start cutting the tape binding her to the chair. The masked man came back and asked her, "I still want to know, why did you come back after trying to run?" Charlie told him, "To stop you, to be free of you." Then she cut herself loose and ran. He chased her into the baby's room, and she stabbed him in the shoulder with the scissors. He didn't fight back. He didn't want to risk hurting the baby. Charlie said, "Ever since that night, I've felt like someone was watching me. Today, I was sure of it." Then she stabbed herself in the stomach. The masked man froze, shocked, only to realize there was no baby. It was all a setup. Charlie had been faking the entire pregnancy. She had another gun hidden in her fake belly. She told him, "I knew you'd come back, just like you said you would, that it wasn't just talk. I haven't seen my family in months. I printed that sonogram off the internet. Everything I did was carefully planned to lure you into this trap. And even the water leaking from me, it was just a glass of water from the kitchen. You know, I had all this time, and I was curious to see your face. But now, I don't even care who's under the mask." And with that, she shot him in the head and killed him. She called the police and gave them her location. Then, she opened her phone's data and took a call from Lily, who said, "Good morning. Are you free to talk?" The film ends with Charlie smiling and saying, "I'm here. Talk to me. Tell me everything."